This is 3 things I hate about Plumb Axes. In this video, we're going to take a look at a bunch of different Plumb Axes. We're going to identify the 3 main things that I see as issues with these, and by the end of the video, you'll understand what it takes to correct them. Now, over the years, I've collected about 500 axes, and dozens of those have been Plumb, so I think I've seen enough to draw these conclusions. Now, starting off right off the bat, number 1 is Permabond. So those of you that don't know, Permabond is an epoxy that Plumb started using to fix the head to the handle sometime in the late 50s. It ended, I want to say, late 70s. Now, the problem with Permabond, first thing, is it basically locks the head completely in place. Now, it will loosen down here at the bottom because there's not as much Permabond here. It'll loosen, but when that happens, the cap of Permabond prevents you from being able to hammer the handle into the eye, and there's no wedge to be able to expand the top of the eye. And that's a problem. Now, eventually, your handle's going to break or loosen up to the point to where it's just not a serviceable tool. And when that happens, you got to remove the Permabond. And any of you guys that have done it before know that it is a serious chore and a serious pain in the butt. Now, the problem with it is that the epoxy sticks all the way to the side of the inside of the eye. And if there's any little forge marks in the eye, it locks it in place. So sure, it certainly does its job at locking it in place, but the problem comes when you have to rehang it. So to be honest with you, the key to removing Permabond is drill, 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 and then you got to get something real. You got to get a pick, and I'm not doing it on camera because it's a serious pain in the butt, but you got to get a pick and you got to pick all those little pieces out the best that you can to clean out the eye. Now, Permabond, if it was just Permabond, that wouldn't be a huge issue. Honestly, it's comparable in the time frame to the 6 ridges in the Wood Slasher or any of the 3-line True Temper Kelly Works axes. Those are the pain in the butt to hang. These are a pain in the butt to get the handle out of. But if it was just Permabond, I wouldn't even have made this video. We're going to move on to the next issue. All right, next issue is common in the 70s axe heads that I see from Plumb. And for some reason, they grind the top forge marks from the dies. They grind those off, but they leave, commonly, they leave these forge marks on the bottom. And this is a prime example. This head is a really good example. We can see that little ridge. It must be almost 1/8 of an inch high, and it's super thin, and it's actually pretty damn sharp. So what happens with this, and this is just a step that, you know, in the 70s, the axe companies, they were struggling. The chainsaw was in full force. It was taking over the woods, and they were cutting corners everywhere that they could. They started making flat-cheeked axes and whatnot. But the problem that you see with this sharp little ridge all around here is when you're pounding the handle into the eye, that ridge acts like a knife and it bites into the wood and it causes a lot of problems when you're hanging. So the fix to this obviously is to grind that smooth, just like the top has been ground smooth. Now, that's not a huge problem if you have power tools. If you're a traditionalist and all you have is a file and you want to clean that up, you know, from this edge all the way up to this one, that can take you a little bit of time. It can be done. It certainly can be done. Yeah, see, we can see in here the drill marks inside the eye from somebody just hogging out the Permabond out of this head. Now, these forge marks from the dies closing are one issue, but what all this tells you here is that if they're going to leave that, then what other corners are they cutting, right? And I'm not saying that it's specific to Plumb, because like I said, a lot of companies were cutting corners, but you don't see this on wood slashers. You don't see this on the True Tempers and anything else. This is pretty much, I only see it on the Plumbs. All right, trusty calipers. Guys, if you don't have a caliper and you're doing a bunch of axes, you got to get a caliper. You can get these for like 10, 15 bucks on Amazon. It's just a cheapo set. You can throw it in the toolbox. You're not going to knock it out of calibration. These are key, and I'm going to show you why right here. Now, these axes, actually that one does. Now, all of these axes here have the same issue, and this is the biggest issue that I see with Plumb, and I still can't figure out why they do it, okay? So if you're looking at this axe head, it's pretty obvious. You can tell that this is the bottom, okay? This is the heel, this is the toe, this is the top of the axe head. Now, traditionally, the bottom eye will be smaller. This one sits at 54 millimeters. Sorry guys, I'm going metric on this. It's just easier to do on video. So that's 54. The top eye is 54 millimeters. Okay? It doesn't flare out on the top. Now, when I first started, man, the rain is pouring down right now. When I first started getting Plumbs, I could see it without calipers. Now moving on. So this is an older one, right? This was a Permabond, right? And it's got the messy, messy stuff. This likely was not a Permabond. I think this was probably a little bit older. Possible. It's possible it was, but I don't know for sure. Now on this one, we're at 54, almost 54 and a half on the bottom eye. And the top eye is 53. 1.5 millimeters smaller. Now, I will say that on the width of these, you might have a 0.5 millimeter. We're sitting at 19 millimeters wide. About 19 at the widest, and down here we'll probably see 18. So it's wider, but it's not longer. Now, some of you guys watched that last video that I did when I bought 82 axe heads, and this was one of them. Okay, it's a 4.5 pound. I believe it's a little over 4.5 pounds. We weighed it. It's clean. Okay, nice big Michigan. We've got a little bit of, little mushrooming, not a big deal. This is a nice axe. This will make a fantastic chopper, and it's heavy enough and it's getting kind of thick enough to make a decent cordwood axe, a decent firewood axe. Let's check it out. Let's see what it says. All right, we're at 64.5 on the bottom eye. And this is getting all the way into the crack of it. 62.5 on the top. Okay, this is a common issue that I'm seeing with Plumbs. Okay, this flat-cheeked Dayton, really clean. The grind on this one's really clean. This is a nice axe. Again, same thing, smaller top eye. Okay, we've got another smaller top eye. Now, that's not a huge issue. It's something that I have been hesitant on hanging any of them for a while. And then last year I hung this. Okay, this is a 2.5 pound Dayton pattern boys axe, 15-degree flat grind. This has been, this is my son's axe, and I've kind of absconded with it a few times. We've taken it camping multiple times. It's bounced around the back of my toolbox in my truck. It's been through a season, okay? This has a smaller top eye also. Now, if you have a smaller top eye, and it's not uncommon on European axes also, I've seen it on the Gransfors and stuff. If you have a smaller top eye, and this is the test piece that of how I know, because I've used this enough to be confident that you can work with them. You just hang it proud, okay? Make sure that handle pops through the top of the eye, you know, a 1/4 inch, pound your wedge, do everything right, get a good tight seal all the way around, and it'll hold pretty good. But the issue is in hanging. When we're shaping a tongue of the handle and you're inserting it into the bottom eye, let's take this National Pattern Super Scout with part of the original sticker on it. When you're putting the handle in, generally speaking, we always know that the bottom eye is the smallest. So when it goes in, if the handle stops, generally speaking, it has tightened at the bottom, and that is where we need to remove material. But when you have a axe head that is smaller at the top, it'll throw you off. You'll start removing material down at the bottom going, gosh, why won't it go in anymore? Why won't it go in anymore? And you might not be looking at the tip of the handle, the tongue wood, it can start getting pinched down in here. And that's a pain in the butt. I'm sure you could ruin a handle doing that because you keep removing handle on the bottom when it needs to be removed from the top because the top eye is too small. All right, moving on. The other eye issue, okay? And this is the last of it. This is common with some of the older plums, which both of these are, you know, 60s, early 60s, late 50s, whatever. I think this one's late 50s. The issue that we see, okay? If I can get it. You look down in this front of the eye, you'll see what looks like a crack. Okay, this one's not that bad, but it's down in there. This one, you can see it more, okay? And people say, oh, it's got a crack right there. See? That little crack? Well, that's not a crack. But if you flip it over onto the top, that is a crack, okay? And we can see it carries down through the whole inside of the eye. Now, this issue is common with Gransfors and some of the older stuff where they've drifted the eye when they're blacksmithing it, and it has actually made the eye too big, and then they hammer it back down. Now, for the most part, it's not an issue. It really isn't an issue. It's just how it is. But this is one example right here. Sweet little, it's not even 1.25 pounds. Little Boy Scout Plumb National, genuine plum. This one, it did cause an issue. Okay, it did. That crack is carried out almost all the way to the cheek. So, again, that's not my biggest complaint. My biggest complaint is likely small eye. I don't know. It might be the horrible Permabond that you just can't maintain your eye when you have that Permabond. But those are the issues. Now, guys, I am not saying by any means that I don't like plums. I do. I like plums. They're not on the top of my list, but I like them. How could you not like a Plumb National? One of the most amazing patterns ever made. They're phenomenal. I just wanted to give you guys an insight on once you've collected enough items, in this case axes, you start to see consistencies. And I've started to see these consistencies with plums. I figured I'd make this video, maybe save you guys a headache so that you know what to look for and what may be causing you an issue if you get a plum with one of these issues. Now, obviously, they're not all the same. Some of them are great. They don't have issues. I think this one's a little older. But that's it, guys. I'll see you next time.